Welcome back. We're taking you now for our next debate to the country's geographical center, the heart of the Vidarbha region, Nagpur. It's here, right in the city where the RSS is headquartered, that the Congress today chose to kick off its campaign for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Now, the Congress's own historical ties with Nagpur go back to 1920, when the non-cooperation movement was launched right there during the Nagpur session. Tonight, we take a look at Rahul Gandhi's central messages at the rally today. His pitching of the 2024 elections as a battle of two ideologies, his reaffirmation of the need for a caste census across the country, and his reassertion that the Prime Minister doesn't listen to the common man's wants and needs. We look to understand the Congress. Congress is obviously saying, "Hum taiyar hain." But will these familiar pillars be enough to poise them in a truly strong position for 2024? That's what we take a look at tonight.
उनकी विचारधारा राजाओं की विचारधारा है, किसी की सुननी नहीं। ऑर्डर ऊपर से आएगा, आपको ऑर्डर का पालन करना पड़ेगा।
आरएसएस भी जो पैदा हुई यहीं से हुई और आज यही आरएसएस देश को बर्बाद कर रही है। और ये जो संघ की सरकार है, अगर इसको नहीं रोक सके तो देश बर्बादी की ओर जाएगा।
Okay, to understand this topic in far more depth, we have with us tonight Shehzad Poonawalla, National Spokesperson for the BJP, and Mohan K. Mangalam, a spokesperson for the Congress. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us right here on the channel. Okay, I'm going to come over to both of you just to get your initial responses. Of course, Mohan, I expect yours to be largely positive to what it is that Rahul Gandhi said today. But I'll come to you for both of your first reactions, then we'll get into the real debate. Shehzad, first to you, all of the messaging you heard today. Rahul Gandhi talking about familiar topics. That battle of two ideologies is something we've heard before. Caste census, also something we've heard before. Did you sense something new? Was there something that caught your interest?
First of all, Toya, what we are focused on is not on Rahul Gandhi's speeches, but how this country needs to go from 10th position to 3rd position as far as the economy is concerned, how we removed 13.5 crore people from poverty, how 60 crore people have got some or the other benefit from Prime Minister Modi's schemes, how 11 crore toilets have been built, how 11 crore Nal Se Jal has been given, 4 crore poor people's houses have been built, per capita incomes have doubled, the middle class income has quadrupled, how we have built 70 airports in the last 9 years, how we built highways at a double pace. This is what we are focused on. Having said the question, Rahul Gandhi's speech now sound almost repetitive. Perhaps they could start with an AI version of him. At least that one would have artificial intelligence, even if it's artificial. Point is that all of these issues that have been raised by Rahul Gandhi were raised in the last 5 state assembly elections. Let me not go back too far. In these 5 elections, there was only one government that repeated. That was Madhya Pradesh government after 18 years, which means it was an endorsement on our performance, endorsement on the issues of Berozgari, Mehengai, that we are doing what is required. Whereas on the other hand, Rahul Gandhi's 2 state governments, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan, were booted out of power. The least Rahul Gandhi can do is perhaps understand the message that the people are giving him. They may say, "Hum taiyar hai." Janta is saying, "Hum aapke liye taiyar hain." And by the way, in Nagpur, today on the day when they had this meeting, Mr. Sanjay Raut has categorically snubbed Congress Party's leader Ashok Chavan, who was the last chief minister, one of the big chief ministers they had in Maharashtra, and he has said that we will contest 23 seats. So I think he should start not with Nyay Yatra, but with Indi Jodo Yatra. And just a factoid, today the Congress Party does not complete 139 years, actually 138 years. This is actually Congress Indira, which split from the original Congress, the Congress Syndicate. So, anyways, they want to take credit for everything. They are welcome to. But this is actually the version of Congress that came up in 1969 when Indira Gandhi split from the Syndicate.
Okay, Mr. Mangalam, do you want to go ahead?
I heard him talking about using AI, and I think the Prime Minister just used AI, but the people of Tamil Nadu still couldn't understand or couldn't care less about what he said in his speech. Now, Mr. Gandhi has talked about many of the themes that he mentioned today, but I think today's speech was all-encompassing. and centered around the main three themes of economic, social, and political equality or nyaya. And he drew some really good parallels. I mean, he started off making sure that he draws a distinction between our ideology and that of the BJP RSS. He drew very distinct parallels between the monarchs of yesteryears, pre-independence, and the East India Company, along with how the BJP now cooperates with Adani and Co to concentrate all power and money. And he talked about very important issues of unemployment and the number of issues facing the youth of India today. He talked about the capture of institutions when it came to political justice, and how how all states are facing this sort of pseudo leadership by the governors, and there is legislation now that is stuck because the vice chancellors in universities in many states are basically being planted in as ex-RSS people who aren't really qualified to be there. So there are a whole host of issues he addressed, but largely he made sure that he draws a very different and distinct path for India from the one that BJP is taking us on. And for all the facts and figures that Mr. Shehzad Poonawalla quoted, the reality is that India still has one of the most unequal populations in terms of income inequality, and we still have some major challenges there in terms of redistribution of wealth and resources.
Okay, Mr. Mangalam, Shehzad, I'll give you a chance to respond to that in a second. But Mr. Mangalam, I do want to come to you with one more question before we go ahead. A lot of the key planks that we saw Rahul Gandhi bring up right now were key planks also of the elections we've seen play out. I just want to understand from you, how does the Congress look at the losses in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan? I'm only focusing on them because a lot of the key areas, so the caste census, for example, economy, for example, these were focuses of the Congress plank there too, but they didn't resonate. I'm not debating whether or not they are important at all, but I am saying they didn't seem to resonate as much. What has the Congress's analysis on that been?
So I think both those elections are state elections that were fought on state issues. Yes, those larger issues are always pervading in every election that we talk about. But while those elections were fought, most of the media was very clear on the fact that these are state elections not being fought under the leadership of with Mr. Modi or Mr. Gandhi. Those individual leaders, the individual candidates, their strengths and weaknesses, the local factors in the ground, a whole host of issues were the reasons why we lost in those two states. I mean, we can have a whole show talking about every seat there and the reasons behind them. I don't think, as you yourself said, it makes these issues unimportant or not as important in the larger national picture. I think these issues are very much national issues and are going to, and whether we improve on these indicators or we deprecate on these indicators is going to depend on national policies more so than I think individual states.
Okay, let's go over to Shehzad. Shehzad, I'm sorry for having kept you waiting there. I do want to understand, though, from you this response that the Congress has, and this is not just, of course, Mr. Mangalam, it's something we've heard the Congress point to again and again, that if you look at the numbers, yes, if you look at the macro numbers, it is a pretty picture, but if you look at the numbers, retail inflation, for example, June, July, high tomato prices, our audience members will remember. So when you really break down those numbers, it isn't such a pretty picture for the BJP, is what we've heard the Congress argue again and again, and they continue to say the common man will speak up. Shehzad, how do you see this?
Let's take inflation, for instance. By the way, despite the fact that we are facing three international crises, the Ukraine-Russia crisis, the COVID crisis that we've come out of, and now the Israel-Hamas crisis, despite that, average inflation over the last 8.5, 9 years has been below 5. And by the way, wholesale inflation is in negative. When was the last time wholesale inflation was in negative during the Congress regime? Between 2012 to 14, the average retail inflation was above 10% under Manmohan Singh. And at that time, please also understand that the foreign exchange reserves were at an all-time low of $250 billion. Today, it's almost $600 billion. FDI is highest today. Our exports are at the highest level today. The economy is growing at 7.6% GDP growth rate. So these are facts that can't be countered. The point is this. Look, for whatever it's worth, the BJP has put forward a Modi ki guarantee model. By the way, after Modi ki guarantee model, out of 5 state elections, we won 3. The Congress party came up with Bharat Jodo Yatra. After Bharat Jodo Yatra, there were 11 elections. The Congress lost 8 elections. What is the model they were promoting? Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. What did it turned out to be models of corruption and non-performance. In fact, Madhya Pradesh, after 18 years, if the government is returning, people are endorsing our work. Now, that is one side. Now, let me come to the other side that today Rahul Gandhi spoke of. Rahul Gandhi spoke of Mohabbat Ki Dukaan, the same hackneyed lines. Please ask Mr. Mangalam, and he's a very erudite spokesperson. May I ask him that when Mr. Ellen Govan says that Ramji is kalpanik, when Mr. Maran, even though his video is an old video, says that people of North India will clean toilets, when Mr. Senthil Kumar says Gaumutra Rajya, when these statements are made time and again by DMK spokespersons like Mr. Nehru, Mr. Bharti, continuously, and Revanth Reddy, your chief minister, goes on and says that the Kurmi DNA is less than the Telangana DNA, BR DNA is less than Telangana DNA. Is this Mohabbat Ki Dukaan? The kind of vitriol that you unleashed on Sanatan and Hindu, whether it's Priyank Kharge saying Sanatan is like a disease, whether it's Udayanidhi Stalin saying Sanatan should be eradicated, or whether it is a whole range of leaders who have questioned the existence of Prabhu Ram. All of these statements fall into the ambit of Mohabbat Ki Dukaan.
Okay, Shehzad, just let me give Mohan K. Mangalam a chance to speak here. Mr. Mangalam, I just want to, please, of course, feel free to respond to everything Shehzad has just said, but I also just want to point us to, for example, because we've talked about this, Madhya Pradesh. 39 lakh people unemployed there. Madhya Pradesh voting back the BJP into power. Sir, I'm asking you this because in the Congress's own thinking, somewhere is there the thought that these issues, if they had to work so far, they would have worked. I'm not talking once again about if they're important. I'm saying they don't seem to be resonating. Where, sir, does the Congress thinking differ with what I'm trying to say here?
So, Toya, I think maybe where I would differ with you is pointing to that one issue and saying that it is now unimportant, or rather not important enough to win us an election.
So deeply important issue. Deeply important issue.
No, I mean, and insofar as electoral victories are concerned, let's stick to that, because I think that's what you're doing too. So insofar as electoral victories are concerned, this is also an issue that was brought up in a major way, I think, last by Tejasvi Yadav when they were fighting the Bihar elections. And that was a pretty close election, if I remember. In fact, I think the difference of margin of victory or loss was, a few hundred votes in as many seats as there was required for one person to form government or the other. And he pretty much fought his entire election, if I remember, on the plank of unemployment. He said that the unemployed people are the only caste that matters. So we have seen an election where unemployment and using that or channeling that or bringing light to that has gained dividends, but everything else also has to happen at the same time. You must have local candidates that work out well, that don't have a severe anti-incumbency. You must have maybe a local leader who resonates more than ours did. You have all the issues at the same time. I don't even take one issue. Now, Shehzad said so many things at the same time. It's going to be a challenge for me to respond to all of them, but let me try and say that the Sanatan Dharam issue has been clarified ad nauseum. The way in Tamil Nadu, because I'm from Tamil Nadu, I can tell you that when the DMK leaders, Udayanidhi Stalin, etc., talk about Sanatan Dharam, they are chiefly talking about the caste system. It is almost a proxy for caste system when we say Sanatan Dharam in Tamil Nadu. Let me clarify that. When Mr. Ilangovan says that Ram is kalpanik, that is his choice. I think Hinduism has room for atheism as well. We do not want to insult or hurt anyone's religious sentiments. And when the Dharmapuri MP, Senthil Kumar, said Gaumutra, he apologized for it. He expressed regret for it.
Mr. Mangalam, 1 second. We're running out of time, so I just want to ask you one quick question here, sir. 3 elections. We just saw 5 elections. Let's focus on the 3 that the BJP won, because of course the Congress won Telangana. But in the 3 that the BJP won, sir, it's important to point out no chief ministerial face announced. They won it pretty much on the face of the Prime Minister, sir. The big question with the INDI has been, what's the Prime Ministerial face? The Congress says, hai taiyar hum. When the nation asks, who's your face though? Whose face are we laying trust in? What is the Congress's answer going to be, sir?
I think the thrust of Mr. Gandhi's speech today, if you were to take away one thing from that, would be sort of the re-democratization of what is now an electoral autocracy. We are not a presidential system. We are a Westminster parliamentary system where we have members of parliament who are elected. In fact, in his speech, he talks about a member of parliament who went to BJP, was in Congress, and says that it's like Gulami there. My voice is not heard. I don't have any input into the decision-making process. So therein lies the answer to that, which is we don't believe that our political system should work in sort of a presidential contest between 2 personalities. And I think we're on the side of Ambedkar here, where we're not promoting cult of personality for anybody.
Okay, Mr. Mangalam, thank you. Shehzad, I'm so sorry we have run out of time. All right, with that and with those answers from the Congress, from the BJP, stepping into just a few days away from 2024, but preparing us for 2024. We'd like to thank you for staying with us over the last 1 hour.